Heartbreak doesn't happen overnight. But if you ignore Stoicism, you can accelerate it in just 48 hours. In today's video, we'll reveal how ignoring the core principles of Stoicism can make your relationship unravel at lightning speed, starting today. Stoicism is more than a philosophy for personal growth. It's a practical tool for maintaining emotional control, building resilience, and keeping relationships intact during difficult times. Brief overview of Stoicism's relevance to romantic relationships. In relationships, Stoicism teaches us how to regulate our emotions, take responsibility for our actions, and maintain perspective when things get tough. These practices help foster understanding, trust, and compassion between partners. Today, we'll break down how ignoring Stoic wisdom, even for a short time, can cause rapid emotional breakdowns in relationships, setting the stage for conflicts, misunderstandings, and even heartache within just 2 days. Day 1. Reacting impulsively, the emotional avalanche. A minor disagreement arises between partners. Perhaps one partner forgets to take out the trash, or they respond curtly in the middle of a conversation. Overwhelmed by frustration or anger, the other partner reacts without thinking, raising their voice, making accusatory statements, or even storming off. Emotional regulation, self-reflection, and rational response. Marcus Aurelius teaches, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By neglecting this principle, emotions override reason, leading to impulsive actions. The goal of Stoicism is to regulate our emotions and respond rationally. But when we act impulsively, we create an emotional avalanche, a small issue rapidly turning into a massive argument, each new reaction compounding the initial conflict. Mistake. Reacting immediately without taking the time to pause and reflect turns a manageable disagreement into a full-blown conflict. In this scenario, both partners are swept away by their emotions rather than handling the situation thoughtfully. The outburst may trigger hurtful remarks, making the other partner feel attacked, disrespected, or misunderstood. This shifts the focus from resolving the issue to managing the fallout of the emotional reaction. What began as a small issue has now spiraled into an emotionally charged confrontation. By ignoring the Stoic practice of taking a step back, you allow your emotions to dictate your behavior. Instead of calmly addressing the disagreement, the relationship is thrust into unnecessary chaos and defensive positions. Impact on the relationship. The emotional fallout from impulsive reactions creates distance between partners. One partner might feel hurt or dismissed, while the other may feel guilty or defensive. The inability to control emotions also prevents the issue from being resolved, leaving both partners stuck in a negative cycle. Instead of fostering connection and understanding, impulsive reactions breed distrust and prevent open communication. Over time, this emotional volatility erodes the foundation of the relationship. If unchecked, these cycles can lead to ongoing misunderstandings, resentment, and emotional detachment. The more frequently these reactions occur, the more likely both partners feel unheard or uncared for. Reacting impulsively instead of reflecting on the root cause of the disagreement and taking control of your emotions will quickly erode trust and communication in a relationship. The Stoic practice of pausing, reflecting, and choosing a thoughtful response enables partners to approach conflicts with clarity and composure, ultimately leading to better understanding and resolution. How to avoid it. Before responding in any heated moment, practice the Stoic pause. Take a deep breath, count to 5, and ask yourself, what's the most rational and constructive way to handle this? This gives you the mental space to avoid reacting from emotion alone and allows you to choose a response that is more aligned with your values and the goal of resolution. Embrace the idea that your first reaction is not always your best reaction. Through this practice, you can defuse emotional escalation, prevent unnecessary conflicts, and create a healthier dynamic with your partner. Day 2. Focusing on blame instead of responsibility scenario. After the conflict, instead of seeking mutual understanding or resolution, one partner begins to blame the other for everything that's wrong in the relationship. They point out past mistakes, accuse the other of being at fault, or even adopt a victim mentality. Rather than reflecting on the issue at hand, they shift the focus to the other person's perceived wrongdoings. This blame game escalates the conflict rather than solving it, as the conversation becomes more about past grievances than current issues. Taking personal responsibility and understanding the impact of your own actions. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This central Stoic tenet emphasizes the importance of owning our reactions to external events. By focusing solely on blaming others for the state of the relationship, we refuse to take ownership of our own actions and emotions. Instead of seeing conflict as an opportunity for personal growth and resolution, we cast the blame outward, giving away our power to influence change. When we blame our partner, we relinquish control over our own emotional responses, which diminishes our ability to make constructive changes. We also inadvertently fuel resentment and defensiveness, which only deepens the rift between partners. Mistake. Blaming the other person shifts the focus from resolution to criticism. Instead of coming together to address the underlying issue, the conversation becomes an exchange of accusations. Each partner feels defensive and less likely to listen to the other. The focus moves away from the solution and instead fixates on past mistakes or perceived faults. A Stoic recognizes that they are responsible for their own thoughts, feelings, and responses, regardless of external circumstances. When we fail to accept responsibility, we create a toxic atmosphere where growth and understanding are impossible. Rather than making the relationship stronger, blame undermines the trust and emotional intimacy that is needed to navigate conflict effectively. Impact on the relationship. The relationship becomes stuck in a loop of accusations and defensiveness. Instead of resolving the issue, both partners become entrenched in their positions, each feeling attacked and misunderstood. With no one willing to take responsibility for their actions, progress is halted, and both partners retreat into their own emotional worlds. Over time, this cycle damages communication, trust, and emotional connection. The more blame is cast, the harder it becomes for either partner to feel safe or supported. As blame grows, so does resentment, and the relationship risks becoming emotionally toxic, where both partners feel undervalued and unimportant. Shifting blame instead of accepting responsibility creates emotional gridlock. In a healthy relationship, both partners must acknowledge their role in conflicts. Personal growth is achieved when we take responsibility for our actions, learn from mistakes, and work together to move forward. This openness to self-awareness and accountability is crucial for emotional growth and mutual respect. How to avoid it? When conflict arises, instead of blaming, focus on understanding how your own actions contributed to the situation. Ask yourself, what can I do differently? And how might I have contributed to this disagreement? This shift in mindset fosters personal growth and can transform the conflict into an opportunity for deeper understanding. Practicing empathy and self-awareness allows you to approach your partner with a spirit of cooperation rather than confrontation. By stepping out of the blame game and owning your part in the issue, you create a space where both partners can express their feelings honestly and work toward resolution together. This helps build a foundation of mutual respect and trust, essential elements for a thriving relationship. The aftermath, letting emotional disconnection set in. Scenario. By the second day, the relationship has reached a breaking point. The tension from earlier arguments has led one or both partners to emotionally withdraw as a means of avoiding further conflict. One partner might shut down, refusing to communicate or engage, while the other may react with silence or distance, believing that emotional avoidance will protect them from further hurt. Empathy, vulnerability, and emotional availability. Stoicism teaches us to acknowledge and work through our emotions rather than suppress or avoid them. In relationships, empathy is essential for mutual understanding, while vulnerability fosters intimacy and trust. But in this situation, the partners abandon these Stoic principles, thinking emotional distance will ease the tension. The danger, however, is that emotional withdrawal only deepens the divide between them. Mistake. Instead of confronting the tension and seeking resolution, both partners close off, either by withdrawing emotionally or refusing to address the issues at hand. This approach may seem like a temporary solution, but it's a dangerous trap. Emotional disconnection does not resolve conflict. It simply creates a void where understanding and intimacy should be. The Stoic ideal is to approach emotional challenges with openness, recognizing that facing difficult emotions together can lead to growth. Withholding vulnerability or support, however, drives a wedge into the relationship, creating a gap that feels impossible to bridge. Impact on the relationship. As emotional disconnection sets in, the relationship begins to feel hollow. Partners may still live under the same roof, but their emotional bond is strained, and the sense of partnership erodes. Instead of feeling like a loving, supportive connection, the relationship transforms into a transactional arrangement where both partners are simply going through the motions. Communication breaks down, misunderstandings fester, and trust weakens. The longer the emotional distance lasts, the more difficult it becomes to reconnect. A relationship without emotional closeness risks becoming nothing more than a routine existence, devoid of the warmth and love that once brought the partners together. Emotional avoidance and withdrawal only create more distance. Over time, the gap between partners widens, and rebuilding that connection becomes harder with each passing day. A Stoic embraces vulnerability as a form of strength, not weakness. True emotional resilience lies in being open and willing to face both the joys and challenges that come with deep, honest connection. How to avoid it? Instead of retreating emotionally, try to lean in and create space for understanding. Talk openly about your feelings and encourage your partner to do the same. Be vulnerable and allow yourself to share your emotional state. This fosters an environment of trust and compassion where both partners feel supported and understood. Mutual vulnerability can turn conflict into a source of connection rather than division. When both partners embrace openness, they can heal together, strengthening their bond and overcoming the emotional gap that threatens to tear them apart. The final blow. Giving up instead of seeking solutions. Scenario: by the end of the second day, one partner feels utterly defeated, exhausted by the constant emotional strain and unresolved conflict. They begin to think, maybe this relationship just isn't worth saving. Rather than seeking ways to address the issues or compromise, they decide to give up, resigning themselves to the idea that nothing will ever change. Resilience, hope, and focusing on what is within our control. Seneca wisely stated, "Sometimes, even to live is an act of courage." This courage isn't just about surviving hardship. It's about embracing the struggle and seeking ways to improve, even when circumstances feel overwhelming. By giving up, The Stoic partner abandons the very resilience and hope that would allow them to turn the relationship around. Mistake. Choosing to give up after just a few difficult days shows a lack of perseverance and an unwillingness to confront the challenges head-on. Stoicism teaches that growth and strength come from enduring adversity and finding solutions. Giving up on a relationship because of temporary difficulties means missing the opportunity to repair, learn, and grow as a couple. Impact on the relationship. When one or both partners give up, the relationship reaches its final point of no return. This surrender creates a permanent emotional divide. Without hope or effort, both partners are left feeling disconnected, and the relationship inevitably crumbles. Stoicism encourages us to face challenges with resolve, knowing that perseverance and action, rather than resignation, are what sustain relationships. Giving up accelerates the end, but by taking responsibility and focusing on solutions, a couple can overcome even the toughest obstacles. How to avoid it? Instead of giving up, focus on what you can control and work together to improve the relationship. Communicate openly, support each other, and be patient. With mutual effort and resilience, even the most difficult periods can be turned into opportunities for growth and reconnection. The power of Stoicism in relationships. Ignoring Stoic principles over just 48 hours can lead to irreversible damage, emotional impulsivity, blame, disconnection, and ultimately giving up. Each misstep compounds, breaking down trust, communication, and emotional connection. By neglecting Stoicism, we forfeit the chance to build emotional resilience, communicate openly, and resolve conflicts constructively. Stoic practices like pausing before reacting, taking responsibility for our actions, and maintaining empathy are crucial in maintaining a healthy relationship. The end of a relationship isn't inevitable, but ignoring Stoic wisdom makes it a lot more likely. In the face of conflict, pause, reflect, take responsibility, and stay emotionally engaged. These are the practices that not only save relationships, but strengthen them. Embracing Stoic principles in our personal lives helps us navigate the challenges of love, ensuring that relationships grow stronger even in difficult times.